Let's turn now to the US and Iran conflict. President Donald Trump backing away from the brink of war this morning, ruling out an immediate military response to Iran's missile attacks, instead announcing tough new sanctions. And while it seems tensions are at an all-time high, this conflict has been building for decades. Simmering tension between the US and Iran now at boiling point. Fanning the flames, just yesterday, Iran launching missile attacks on at least 2 military bases, targeting the US troops inside. The attack, a retaliation after US President Donald Trump authorised a drone strike that killed Iran's top general.
We took action last night to stop a war. We did not take action to start a war.
The only thing that can end this period of war is for the Americans to receive a blow that is equal to the blow they've inflicted.
But this is a tension that dates back decades. The 1979 crisis, a major turning point. 52 Americans held hostage for 444 days in the US Embassy in Iran's capital, Tehran. Since then, a roller coaster of escalation. Planes shot down, strong statements.
States like these and their terrorist allies constitute an axis of evil.
And sanctions. Then a nuclear deal, which started to unravel when the US withdrew. 2019 saw oil tanker attacks, the US pointing the finger at Iran. A US drone shot down by Iranian forces. And an attack on a US military base in Iraq, killing an American contractor. Now, the start of a new decade marks the start of a new level of tension. But President Trump says there's nothing to fear. A simple, dismissive message on Twitter, all is well, so far so good.
And joining us now from Washington, D.C. is CNN national correspondent Whitney Wild. A very good morning to you, Whitney.
Good morning to you.
So, I mean, we went to bed here in Australia last night thinking that we were on the brink of war, and we're quite relieved to hear President Trump talking economic sanctions this morning, not military action. Do you think this means that the tit-for-tat escalation's now over?
Well, at present, it seems there is at least a freeze on that relationship. So the president today urging calm, saying that the U.S. was committed to peace with all of those who want it.
There was obviously a bit going on behind the scenes this morning. We were waiting and his press conference was delayed. It was almost like they were trying to negotiate a position or trying to work out their own position on Iran, wasn't it?
Well, certainly this isn't the first time that a political speech in Washington has been delayed. But what I can tell you is there's new reporting that indicates that there was some consideration at the White House of a possible retaliation, military retaliation against Iran. Eventually, the administration turned away from that, instead saying today that they plan to de-escalate the tensions, while also announcing that they will impose even more crippling economic sanctions against Iran.
Well, there was talk about this, that perhaps the Iran missile strike was orchestrated. I mean, no Americans were killed, and that was perhaps deliberate. Do you think if any Americans had died in that missile strike, that what we'd be talking about this morning would be very different?
Absolutely. I think if an American life was taken, the situation would be radically different. Consider that this all began, as your reporter had mentioned prior to this, that there was an American contractor who was killed in a strike by a group that is Iranian-backed. And so the retaliation for that was killing a very beloved commander in Iran, someone that the U.S. considers and many others consider a bloodthirsty terrorist. So had the U.S. suffered a casualty there, it's highly likely that this situation would be radically different. But today, as you had mentioned, there is a growing theory that the Iranian missile strike was deliberate in not causing any American casualties. However, the president also noted that American intelligence helped shuffle people who might have been in harm's way out of harm's way.
Well, sounds orchestrated, doesn't it?
Well, Whitney, thank you. I mean, it was great to wake up this morning to hear that, you know, we're not closer to war, but of course tensions do remain high. We appreciate your insight this morning.